When your expectations are clear, students never have to guess how you expect them to behave. Let me get at this in part by describing to you an interaction that I had with a first-year teacher who was struggling with behavior management. And when I went in and observed the class, I saw really quite a few behavioral problems. Nothing completely out of control. We're not talking about kids screaming obscenities or kids absolutely refusing to comply, but just a lot of junky kind of behavior, a lot of off-task talking, a lot of smart-alecky comments, a lot of blurting out, a lot of just kind of roving around the room, doing off-task sorts of things. I met with her after school. I started by saying, before we start identifying some things that you might do differently, I need to find out from you, how do you want the students to behave in this class? She said, well, I want them to behave well. I said, well, of course you want them to behave well. Nobody wants their students behaving poorly. What does well mean? Give me some detail. And I said, okay, let me try to make it a little bit more specific. Let's just talk about one particular type of activity, independent work periods. When you say get to work on your assignment, how do you want kids behaving during that particular activity? What do you want them doing? And she said, well, I want them working. Okay, but give me even more specifics. You say get to work on your assignment. Is it okay for them to talk to each other or not? Finally, she said, no. It'd be better if they didn't talk to each other, and she said that with a fair degree of certainty. I said, okay, it's not okay for them to talk to each other. What should a student do if they have a question? Without hesitation, she said, they should ask me, the teacher. Okay, how should they ask you, the teacher? Without hesitation, she said, they should raise their hand. But this didn't fit with some of the things that I observed earlier in the day. So I said, but there were times during the lesson that I saw kids with their hands up when they were working independently, and you weren't calling on them. Why was that? Well, that was probably the time when I was at my desk grading papers. Okay, so if you're at your desk grading papers, they shouldn't raise their hands. Well, no, because I just talk to kids who come up. Well, have you ever told them that? Well, no. They're freshmen in high school. Can't they figure that out? I said, well, maybe, but some of them were sitting there with their hands up. So they were obviously somewhat unclear about what to do. And there were students who were coming up and talking to you while you were at your desk, but at one point you told them, everybody go sit down. Why did you do that? She said, oh, gosh, when there are 5 or 6 of them that come up, they get all around me. I'm claustrophobic. I mean, they're big kids. I said, go sit down. Yeah, and do you remember what you told them? Sure. I said, go sit down and ask your neighbor. Do you see the full circle that this teacher has just come to? I don't want them talking to each other, because if they need assistance, I want them to ask me by raising their hand, unless I'm at my desk, unless I'm claustrophobic, in which case they should go talk to each other. The problem, of course, is the implication of this is this teacher is going to have expectations that shift according to variables that the students have no idea what those variables are. The students then have to push and test and challenge the limits on a daily basis. The greater the consistency of your expectations, the greater the probability that students will meet those, because the vast majority of students, I do believe very firmly, want to do well, want to be successful.